Hello to all you fans of RPGs and of Dungeons and Dragons. This video will be a walkthrough and DM's guide of the Xanthoria D&D Adventure. Hello and greetings, I am Anya of Rogatino. And, yes, I am one of Red Sonja's sisters. I am here in this damp and dreary cave to isolate and escape from the Saprophytic Plague that is spreading up, down and throughout the Sword Coast. Are you, likewise, here to escape the plague as well? Xanthoria is the 17th and is the last adventure in the Candlekeep Mysteries anthology book. This 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure was written by Toni Winslow-Brill. Her adventure is meant for 16th level player characters. The adventure's beginning read aloud text does a great job at setting up the adventure for the player characters.
A fungal plague is ravaging the Sword Coast, spreading quickly from one settlement to the next. Although magic has proven effective at ridding individuals of the spore infection, the plague is spreading too quickly to contain. Creatures that become infected fall ill with a fever and sprout disgusting, gooey fungal growths before losing their autonomy, acting like zombies. They also release spores that infect other beasts and humanoids. Eventually, the plague reduces all infected creatures and foodstuffs to puddles of ooze. Humanoids infected with the plague drone the word Xanthoria over and over for no discernible reason before death finally claims them. You have determined that there is a book by that name contained in the library fortress of Candlekeep. With luck, the book holds information that might help you end the plague before it wipes out every village, town, and city in Faerun.
When the adventurers make their inquiries at Candlekeep, one of Candlekeep's avowed, named Zeleth Lightleaf, brings Xanthoria's journal to them. The tome is badly damaged by mold that is growing on it and inside of its wrinkled pages. Zeleth says that the journal's author, Xanthoria, is a druid and knows where she lives. If the characters are too afraid to touch the journal, then Zeleth will be willing to page through it for them. From the journal, they learn that Xanthoria's forest was invaded by undead. As they page through the journal, they also learn that Xanthoria has descended into madness and is quite insane by the journal's end. The journal's end is also missing a few pages. So, are your player characters willing to go to Xanthoria's forest and investigate? Are they willing to risk catching the plague themselves? Oh, by the way, as trivia, Xanthoria is an orange-ish lichen fungus. Not sure if I would name my child after a fungus. The deadly fungal plague that is ravaging the Sword Coast is called the Saprophytic Plague. I will now discuss the mechanics of the plague, which may be considered as spoilers. However, since the adventurers are on a mission to find a cure, I think they would already know these details at the beginning of the adventure. Any beast or humanoid that comes within 10 feet, or 3 meters, of a creature infected by the Saprophytic Plague must succeed on a DC 20 Constitution saving throw, or become infected as well. On a successful save, a creature is immune to the plague for 24 hours. After a failed save, the creature experiences the first symptoms within 1 to 4 hours, which are body aches, nausea, slurred speech, and uncontrollable drooling. They also gain 1 level of exhaustion. Every 24 hours thereafter, the creature automatically gains another level of exhaustion. Hence, by the 6th day of infection, the creature dies. Any creature killed by the Saprophytic Plague transforms into a lifeless magenta ooze. A creature infected by the Saprophytic Plague for at least 24 hours behaves like a zombie, as fungal growths sprout from its head, body, and limbs. It feels an overriding urge to be around groups of uninfected creatures, so that it can spread the contagion. This is the time when infected humanoids begin speaking the word Xanthoria over and over, with no understanding of what the word means. Foodstuffs that are exposed to the plague's spores decay or go sour within 2 to 24 hours, leaving behind a lurid magenta mass of oozing fungi. Eating infected food can, likewise, infect the creature. Any magic that cures a disease can rid a creature of the Saprophytic Plague. Casting Purify Food and Drink destroys the infection in foodstuffs. However, given how widespread the infection is, there are not enough spellcasters with such abilities to eradicate it. Hence, as a dungeon master, you may have the scenario where drastic, draconic and harsh quarantine measures are being taken throughout the Sword Coast. From this point forward, this video will be discussing the adventure itself, and it will contain spoilers. Unless you are a dungeon master who will be running this adventure for their players, or are a player who already played through this adventure and are watching this video for nostalgia purposes, I would suggest not to watch the rest of this video.
Hey sis, where are you? Hello? Anyone in here? Hello?
Oh, hello, Vanessa. Welcome to my cave. Are you here to escape from the Saprophytic Plague as well?
Actually, Anya, I am here to tell you that a group of adventurers have stopped the spread of the plague, and that it is no longer contagious.
Vanessa, are you serious? It is safe to come out now.
Yes, Anya. Yes, it is.
But how? How did the adventurers manage to stop the plague?
Well, let me tell you the tale of Xanthoria, and I will start from the very beginning. The synopsis of the Xanthoria adventure is as follows. A deadly fungal plague is ravaging the Sword Coast. A group of adventurers travel to Candlekeep to research a way to stop it. The adventurers end up facing a mad lichen lich, who was once a druid. I would summarize the adventure as follows. Xanthoria was a powerful half-elf druid. She went mad, experimented on and tortured her closest friends, and has undergone a horrible transformation into a lichen lich. Her transformation is the source of the Saprophytic Plague. This deadly fungal infection is now ravaging the Sword Coast. The plague not only targets beasts and humanoids, but also destroys crops and stored foodstuffs, causing famine and sickness on an epic scale. A group of adventurers travel to Candlekeep to research a way to stop it and find Xanthoria's tome. The adventurers then travel to the Lich's lair, which is called the Lycor Expanse. They first encounter Thunderwing, a sprite who is the unknowing phylactery of Xanthoria. Along with mold and slime environmental hazards, the adventurers also encounter and face fungal versions of powerful monsters, before facing the insane lichen lich, herself, Xanthoria. To finally defeat the fungal lich requires the death of Thunderwing, the one friend of Xanthoria who survived her ordeals. I will now go through the adventure's timeline of events. Xanthoria was a powerful half-elf druid. Her forest was invaded by undead monsters. By researching fungi and lichen, Xanthoria hoped to create a weapon that could protect her forest against undead invaders. However, her efforts were failing, and she grew more desperate. Eventually, she went insane, and even experimented on and tortured her closest friends. She then undergoes a horrible transformation into a lichen lich. Her transformation created, and is the source of the Saprophytic Plague. The deadly fungal infection spreads quickly, and is now ravaging the Sword Coast. The plague not only targets beasts and humanoids, but also destroys crops and stored foodstuffs, causing famine and sickness on an epic scale. Religious and civil authorities are unable to stem the tide of the Saprophytic Plague. Due to how widespread it has become, not even wish, cure disease, and like spells, can contain the contagion. Those who have been infected for more than 24 hours will repeatedly chant Xanthoria. A group of adventurers travel to Candlekeep in order to research a way to stop the deadly fungal infection. One of Candlekeep's avowed, named Zeleth Lightleaf, brings Xanthoria's journal to the player characters. One mistake in the adventure is that it says Zeleth Lightleaf is the author of the Xanthoria tome. This is incorrect, since the tome is a diary/journal. Hence Xanthoria, herself, wrote the tome. What actually is the case, is that Zelith found the journal at the entrance to the Lycauther Expanse, and brought it to Candlekeep. The Lycauther Expanse is a cave complex, within a forest. Anyway, the player characters can examine and read Xanthoria's journal, which will inform them much of the adventure's background. However, conveniently, the last few pages of the journal are missing. These pages described Xanthoria finally achieving her transformation into a lichen lich, as well as making the living fairy, Thunderwing, her phylactery. On a map of the Sword Coast, Zelith points where the Lycauther Expanse is located. Unlike other adventures, in the Candlekeep Mysteries book, this adventure does not provide any random or wandering encounters the party might face as they travel to the Lich's lair. Hence, the Dungeon Master can throw in one or two such encounters of their own design. When the player characters first arrive at the Lycauther Expanse, they will first encounter Thunderwing, who is crying at the entrance. Thunderwing is a living sprite, who is the unknowing phylactery of Xanthoria. It is hoped that player characters will be endeared to Thunderwing, and allow her to follow the party. The Lycauther Expanse and Cave Complex is filled with mold and slime environmental hazards, as well as fungal versions of powerful monsters. The final encounter is with the insane Lichen Lich, herself, Xanthoria. However, the plague does not end when Xanthoria is defeated. To truly destroy a Lich requires its phylactery to be destroyed. Otherwise, a Lich will reform near its phylactery within 1 to 10 days. Hence, to finally defeat Xanthoria, at this heart-wrenching moment, the player characters need to convince Thunderwing to end her life. In this adventure, there are only two characters to discuss. And that is Thunderwing, and the villain, Xanthoria. As I have mentioned before, Thunderwing is a sprite, and the unknowing phylactery of Xanthoria. Although alive, she is still subject to the effects that turn undead. She is crying when the adventurers first encounter her at the cave mouth of the Lycauther Expanse. She will gravitate towards those who are friendly and kind to her. In order to make this adventure effective, what is essential is to make Thunderwing loved and endearing to the player characters. As a DM, you got to get the characters fondly attached to Thunderwing, in order to have the adventure's sad ending to be heartfelt. She says she used to live here with her friends, Xanthoria and Bunny Blossom. Bunny Blossom was a yellow fairy dragon. She says that Xanthoria subjected her and her friends to some terrible experiments. Her memory is faulty, but, if need be, Thunderwing can also be used to provide clues as the adventurers explore the Lycauther Expanse. She also has plot armor, meaning she is impervious to harm. As a dungeon master, I would say this is only true within the Lycauther Expanse. The heart-wrenching moment of convincing Thunderwing to sacrifice her life to end the plague and Xanthoria's existence is meant to be a role-playing event. Rolling a persuasion check is dissuaded by the adventure. The adventure describes Thunderwing as scatterbrained and forgetful. This is done so that she does not reveal important information about the Lycauther Expanse as the party is exploring it. However, being scatterbrained is not an endearing quality. So, here is my fix to this. Have a spring of forgetfulness at the entrance. When the player characters first encounter Thunderwing, she drank from the spring more than 12 hours ago, and she is beginning to remember things. Because the memories of the Lycauther Expanse is so traumatic for her, she will remember details about it last. If any player character is foolish enough to drink from the spring of forgetfulness, here are my proposed mechanics for it. The character forgets their memories and who they are for the first 12 hours, including all their abilities. Hence, the character is effectively a first-level character. Afterwards, the character will start remembering things. Every hour, the character gains a level they forgot. So, for a 16th level character, it takes 16 hours for the character to remember everything they forgot. Memory restoration can be accelerated. Due to strong survival instincts, a character in combat can regain levels at a rate of 1 level per turn. Oh, what if the player characters decide to wait till Thunderwing fully regains her memory? Well, let us just say that I am not the type of DM who punishes players for smart thinking, or for ingenious solutions. Xanthoria is the villain of the adventure. Her mad quest for lichdom has unleashed the Saprophytic Plague onto the world. Those infected with the Saprophytic Plague have a mycelial network of spores that forms a tenuous connection between him and Xanthoria. This weak connection causes plague victims to chant Xanthoria's name. Before her forest was invaded by undead, Xanthoria was a powerful half-elf druid. She desperately searched for a way to stop them, and she never discovered the source of the undead incursion. Xanthoria sinks into madness, and her mind became twisted by the influence of the demon queen, Zugmoy. Xanthoria then conducts grisly experiments on living creatures, including her closest fey friends, such as Thunderwing and Bunny Blossom. Towards the end of her journal, Mycorgi, Shedakla, and the number 222 are referred to several times. Unbeknownst to Candlekeep's avowed, Zealous Lightleaf, these references all refer to the 222nd layer of the Abyss, which is home to two demon lords. Dewey-Blex, the demon prince of oozes, and Zugmoy, the demon queen of fungi. The Lycauthor Expanse is a cave complex within an unspecified forest. Hence, the dungeon master is free to locate it anywhere they wish, such as Cloakwood or the Wood of Sharp Teeth forests near Candlekeep, or the Misty Forest near Daggerford, or the Ardeep Forest near Waterdeep, or any other forest along the Sword Coast. There is one element that is missing from this adventure, and that is the risk of the player characters getting infected by the plague. Perhaps, as a dungeon master, you could add such a risk, as the party is traveling to the Lycauthor Expanse. The Lycauthor Expanse is a natural cave complex, and hosts a wide array of lichen, molds, and fungi. The map of it is probably easier to decipher with its areas labeled, as they are now. Many areas, aspects, and traps of the Lycauthor Expanse are quite similar to the ones in the S1, Tomb of Horrors, module. Basically, this adventure is paying homage to the Tomb of Horrors module. By the way, for those of you who are interested, we do have a walkthrough and DM's guide video of this module on our channel. Anyway, let us get back to exploring the cave complex, known as the Lycauthor Expanse. Area number L1 is the entrance to the Lycauthor Expanse. As the adventurers approach, they will hear Thunderwing sobbing and crying inside. I would also add, my earlier suggested, Spring of Forgetfulness, in this area, as well. As a DM, you can say, the waters come from the river Styx, that flows through Zugmoy's layer of the Abyss. After the player characters have sufficiently conversed with Thunderwing, as a DM, I would then have a shambling mound show up, in order to add a combat encounter and excitement. This shambling mound was sent by Xanthoria to retrieve Thunderwing. Thunderwing will then cower behind the player characters for protection. Thunderwing will accompany the party as they continue exploring the cave complex. Cavern number L2 was once used as an alchemist laboratory by Xanthoria. It is now covered in spider webs and mold, with rotting furniture and broken alchemical equipment. However, by searching the cavern, the player characters can find a potion of superior healing, and a, very iffy, recipe for crafting a potion of longevity. Xanthoria conducted some of her many experiments in cavern number L3. Thick mycelial tendrils cover the domed room of the cavern. Also suspended from the roof, and trapped, here, are two humanoid figures, who are in agony and want the pain to end. Cutting them free of the mycelial tendrils will kill them. The mycelial tendrils are part of a huge mycelium. It can take a lot of damage, and is tough to destroy. The mycelium can dish out devastating counterattack type effects on each attack it receives. Also lurking in this cavern are three of Xanthoria's fungal servants. For one of them, the adventure says to use the Mummy Lord stat block. For the other two, it says to use the Varrock stat block. There once was a Fey crossing at the center of cavern number L5. It is now corrupted, and is now connected with Zugmoy's layer of the Abyss. Anyone who steps into the ring will be afflicted with the madness of Zugmoy. A greater restoration spell, or more powerful magic, can rid a character of this madness, which, otherwise, lasts until cured. Cavern number L4 was once Xanthoria's bedroom. It now reeks of mold and mildew. Delicate white vines with brilliant purple flowers drape vast portions of the walls and floor. The white vines, essentially, function as a trap that can knock player characters unconscious on a failed DC 18 Constitution saving throw. The vines then restrain such characters and deals a massive amount of damage per round. The character remains restrained. In addition, unless washed off, spores of the white vines will attach to all characters who enter the cavern. These spores have no effect until those covered with them face off against Xanthoria. At the back of the cave lurks a strange bundle of white poison ivy with a single bulbous eye in the center. For this monster, the adventure says to use the Death Tyrant stat block. This monster has a few abilities that can immobilize its targets. This can spell disaster to such victims, because the white vines in this cavern can then automatically restrain him, followed by crushing them. In the middle of the room is a mold-encrusted skeleton, wearing armor made of calcified lichen and covered in fungal growths. The adventure says to use the Death Knight stat block for this skeleton. Cavern number L6 is a flooded cavern. The adventurers can safely rest here. Cavern number L7 was once the kitchen of the complex. Its wooden door is covered in yellow mold, which can poison careless characters who open or disturb the door. Once in the cavern, Thunderwing looks forlornly about the kitchen and cries a bit, lamenting the loss of the Xanthoria she remembers. Searching the room uncovers a recipe book with a preserved oak leaf that served as a bookmark. Showing this memento to Xanthoria will cause her to hesitate and take no action for one combat round. Cavern number L8 serves as Xanthoria's meditation chamber. The murals in this cavern are disturbing and relate to Zugmoy. Anyone who studies the murals must make a DC 16 Charisma saving throw, or become afflicted with the madness of Zugmoy. Cavern number L9 is the Cove of Experimentation. Thunderwing trembles in fear upon reaching this area. She was experimented upon by Xanthoria in this cavern. A 2-foot deep, or half a meter, layer of grey fog blankets the floor of this cavern. The spell, Gust of Wind, can disperse the fog for 10 minutes. If the fog is not dissipated, then on each round, for those who are in it, or move through it, must succeed on a DC 16 Constitution saving throw, or gain 1 level of exhaustion. Crawling on the ceiling of this cavern are 2 parasite-infested bears. These bears will avoid the fog during combat. Once the undead bears have been dealt with, the player characters can find Xanthoria's Staff of the Woodlands, leaning against an eastern alcove's wall. There are also several rusty cages in this cavern that contain some of Xanthoria's failed experiments, which she left to die and rot. In one of them is the remains of Thunderwing's friend, Bunny Blossom, who was once a yellow fairy dragon. The floor of cavern number L10 slopes down toward a very deep hole rimmed with corpses and oozing fungi. Amputated pieces from a variety of creatures hang from the walls and ceiling in this hideous space. This charnel pit is inhabited by a purple worm. The thrashing of the purple worm can cause additional hazards for the adventurers. Lodged in the purple worm's gullet is a large emerald worth 25,000 gold pieces. Cavern number L11 is the Xanthoria's Grove of Horrors, and where the final boss battle occurs. Its wooden door is covered in brown mold, which can deal cold damage to those opening or disturbing it. This cavern is filled with decomposing vegetation, large tree-sized mushrooms, and various creatures partially entombed in fungal growths. The whole area resembles a horrifying botanical garden. Those who still have on him the spores of the white vines from Xanthoria's moldy bedroom must make a DC 20 Constitution saving throw. On a failed saving throw, they take 50 points of necrotic damage, or half as much damage on a successful one. Xanthoria waits for the player characters at the far north end of the cavern. A young boy is swinging inside a suspended iron cage near her. Xanthoria shoots the adventurers a crooked smile, and, at the same time, the boy's form abruptly stiffens and withers into a dry husk. Stealing the boy's life force has enabled Xanthoria to immediately cast anti-life shell on her. Thus no living creature can get within 10 feet, or 3 meters, of her, for the duration of the spell, which is 1 hour. Thus using melee weapons against her will be ineffective. Xanthoria is quite lonely, and willing to talk to the party. However, she cannot be persuaded to discontinue her experiments. A mold, lichen and fungi encrusted Nalshni, named Danyak, is also here. Danyak is an emissary of Zugmoy. Nearby, lurks the rotting husk of an infected tree ant, ready to defend its master. In addition, 4 invisible will-o'-wisps flit about the grove, ready to use their consume life ability on adventurers who fall in battle. If that were not enough, as a lair action, Xanthoria can create a shambling mound to join in on the fight. As well as 2 other nasty lair actions. Once Xanthoria is defeated, the player characters find the last few pages of her notes among her possessions. They then learn that Thunderwing is Xanthoria's living phylactery, which, now, brings about the adventure's melancholy ending. The player characters now need to convince Thunderwing to give up her life, in order to destroy the Lichen Lich, once and for all. If Thunderwing is convinced to sacrifice herself, she lets out a deep sigh, before flying about and kissing each character on the forehead. She then approaches the character, with whom she has made the strongest connection with, lies down in their open hands, and shivers slightly, before expiring. To me, this ending is as heart-wrenching, as the overall story of the Rumbling Hearts anime is. The beginning setup of the adventure is pretty good. Unless the player characters want to isolate themselves from the rest of the world, they should have the motivation to end the Saprophytic Plague before it kills them. The fun of the whole adventure depends on how attached your player characters become with Thunderwing. The whole premise of the adventure seems like the first, The Last of Us, video game. So, I guess, if your player characters get too attached, they may decide to let Thunderwing live, and let the whole world succumb to the plague. In closing, I do like this adventure, and I think it is good. Not sure if I would use it as a campaign-ending adventure. After all, going from one world-ending threat to another can be a bit jarring. If you have any ideas on how to make this adventure even better, please share them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, from all of us at the RPG Mods fan channel. Hope this video has been informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share and comment. We do like feedback. Till next time, we wish you well. Cheers, have a good day, and goodbye.
Feelings, it's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh. Magic, no, I'm never letting go. Now that I've been with you, when you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in